All right, thanks for being here. Bob Brunton, running for State Assembly. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Bob.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Bob Brunton. Thank you for putting together this event. It's October 10th, 2020. And I'm a candidate for the State Assembly District number 25. To give you an idea what District 25 is, it's in the heart of Silicon Valley. It consists of 5 cities, 2 counties, City of Santa Clara, Milpitas, San Jose, and Fremont, Newark. So it has Alameda County, Santa Clara County. It's currently an open seat. The current holder of the seat is Kansan Chu. He's now running for county supervisor. We had a 6-person race in the primary, and I came in first. I believe I'm really prepared to move on to help finish some of the things Kansan started in the State Assembly. Let me get a little background. I've lived in this district for over 40 years. I've been 30 years a business owner in several businesses in electronics manufacturing and also wealth management companies. I was elected 3 times and served 12 years as community college trustee at Ohlone Community College. And I have been involved in every one of the cities in my district. The reason why I'm running for State Assembly is from all these years of experience, it's very clear to me that the issues that are important to me that I think we can make a positive impact about are dealt with at the State Assembly. And listening to some of the other people talk, they talk about some things that really are best handled at the State Assembly. Now, I'm running really to do 2 things. And that one is to really fix this broken state government ours. And second thing is to start preparing our government for the future generations. My campaign slogan is my first promise to you, which is that it's just solutions, no excuses. I'm kind of an engineering type of guy who just looks at these things we just got to start fixing. And that's going to be my laser focus. And as much as a nonpartisan way as possible, even though I'm proud to be endorsed by the Republican Party, I've gotten several endorsements from Democrats and Libertarians and independents. It's been really kind of fun and exciting to see that. But it is the basic understanding of how I'm focusing on this is we can eat and chew at the same time. So we can improve our state government and we can reduce our taxes and we can increase the income of the poor and middle income. So let's start talking about some of these core issues and then hopefully a little bit of time for some questions. So my focus, besides the day-to-day activities, I'm going to work real hard to find some really good staff members because you deserve good, high-quality customer service if you have an issue with Sacramento. But my 5 areas are going to be improving education, improving mass transit, improving civil justice, improving the trust in our government, which is something critically important now, and improving our state and local economies. So the overall theme in all of these 5 areas, the primary methods that I'm going to be focusing in on is focusing in on some of the improving the areas of efficiencies, making sure that the defenders of the status quo are lessened, use more artificial intelligence, and aligning our budgets and compensation based on successful outcomes. So let's get started. On education is an example. This is the single biggest issue for the state of California. 54% of our budget is allocated to education. So if you look at the total money amount spent on education, it's more than any other state in this country. Yet, it's clearly not doing well at the end bottom result because of inefficiencies. Let me give you an example. We have over 1,000 school districts. We have 5 academic institutions, and they don't work well together. The funding and organizational standards that they have now were developed when California is in the 50s. So we really need to restructure our California educational system to reflect what California is going to look like in 2030. So part of my plans are all about restructuring, making our education more focused on student learning and on student success, as opposed to rewarding some of the vendors of the educational system. We have to make sure that all of our students have access to high quality education, regardless of where they live. Before the pandemic, as an example, there were over 250,000 supercommuters into my district, people who are driving 3 to 4 hours a day to make it to work. And so often of times they would ask me, Bob, couldn't I put my child near where I work as opposed to just where I live? And absolutely, you should be able to do that for safety reasons. I can fully understand why a mom or dad would want their second grader to be close to them where they work if they live 3 hours away. So at the very least, we should allow for school boundary changes to be acceptable, not only just where you live, but where you work. Also, I hope you'll support me on no on Prop 16. Prop 16 does not improve education, but divides us. But one thing we certainly can do after this is passed through is to start working on how to make sure all students have high quality education, and that can be done. Let's talk about mass transit for a moment. Similar problems. We have 24 mass transit agencies in the Bay Area, and yet only two have elected boards. So, and before the pandemic, ridership was even on its way down. So it is amazing, again, how poorly these agencies work together. Isn't it interesting, too, in this current election, that you have some agencies asking for tax dollars to stay alive, and then you have another transit private sector agency spending millions of dollars to leave us alone so we can grow. I mean, there's such a disconnect. And I remember when I was on the Ohlone College Board of Trustees, when we made the transition from wired internet to wireless internet, and they said, Bob, you know, we're going to lose these jobs of the people that put in the high floors. But I said, you know, the wireless internet's going to provide much more access to the students. It's similar as well in mass transit. We have got too much of a rail-centric and San Francisco-centric mass transit system. We need to be more, more connected. The whole idea of the new CASC method, which, connected, autonomous, safe, and electric. These are the methods, to do more on-demand, independent transit. These are the ways that we can make the California style of mass transit as freedom and opportunity, not fixation on high-cost rails for high-cost maintenance. So that's one area also in mass transit. Let's talk a little bit about improving the state and local economy. This has become a bigger issue since the original election, because now we've gone from a surplus to a deficit. We've got, not only we have high unemployment, it looks like it's getting a little stubbornly high, also the restructuring of the economy is dramatic. So, and being a business owner, I understand some of these issues very well. So here's some of the things I'm going to be advocating for. We have to have a Made in California initiative. What I'm recommending is, if you are a manufacturer in the state of California, because it's high cost to do business here, you work with high environmental standards, which you need to do, you have high employment standards, which you need to do, our offshore competitors don't. I'm suggesting that you make a product here in California, you can sell it here in California without sales tax. So it's at least help save you 10%. I'm suggesting one day each quarter. If you visit a local retailer, if you visit a local restaurant, there would be no sales tax on that transaction to help our local small merchants come back and survive. So these are also recommending of how to help my cities within the district. Give you an example. City of Milpitas, they would like to have the Highway 237 expanded, which is a state highway. My recommendation is to do two things. One, the gas tax, which is currently collected, I'm suggesting the gas tax be spent close to where it's collected. That way you could sort of reward Milpitas. If you're going to buy from a local gas station, it can help your local roads. And we're going to have to certainly transition away from the gas tax to probably some sort of mileage tax, because clearly if we move away from cars to electric cars, there's going to have to be some sort of method of how to finance this. Also, for the city of Santa Clara, they wish to have a real downtown, and they're building a transit station. Again, the state can help that, and that will help overall economy. So those are some of the ideas. And also for Newark, for example, the Dumbarton Bridge is an important part of their city, and that would be one of the mass transit programs that could be useful to help release traffic on the downside if we improve the Dumbarton Bridge right away. So these are some things on the mass transit side. The whole bottom line on mass transit is this, that we need to make sure it's organized for the benefit of the rider and respect for the taxpayer, that somehow that the compensation programs are built on ridership growth, ridership satisfaction, and fare box collection. Improving civil justice. This is a big part, was even a big part of my primary campaign, has become even more important since the pandemic. these are things where I'm talking about the cost of justice is too expensive, it's too slow, it helps the well-connected. As a business owner, oftentimes I would be very frustrated at the cost of trying to solve simple problems. So I'm suggesting we increase the amount of small claims court to a real amount, like $50,000, so that you can deal with your issues quickly, as opposed to being the only winner being the lawyers. That's a bad thing. So we got to really work on how to make civil justice work. In addition, what I found in often cases is that criminal lawsuits often came out of civil lawsuits. People are so frustrated with the speed or the cost, and they start getting angry and then they start getting violent. So we need to try to tone it down a little bit and say, let's just try to get civil justice done. And thirdly, too, we oftentimes, I found in family courts sometimes, or in big businesses situations, where the rich person had a nice lawyer, the poor person had nothing. So I'm suggesting we have a public defender for civil lawsuits, just not the public defender for criminal lawsuits. And by the way, that could be self-funding, because with the civil suits, in a sense, that's about cash anyway. So part of the funding, part of the rewards would go into the civil suits to keep the system rotating through. Let's see. And so I wanted to talk to you about what are the 5 points did I not cover? Well, why don't you come back to me with some questions?
Okay, well, let's do that. I mean, you've certainly said a mouthful. You covered a lot of topics. You talked a lot about tax. Our last speaker indicated that she was in favor of a wealth tax. And as you know, California, there's proposals right now to raise the income tax to 16.8% top marginal rate. And also there was a proposal for a wealth tax. I don't know if that's still around or not. What's your view about that, Bob?
Okay, also full disclosure, I'm a certified financial planner and I have a wealth management company. That would be totally the wrong way to do things. One of the basic problems we also have in California is I believe that the top 2% of the wage earners are providing over 60% of the revenue. We're so top heavy at the top side. I think the best way to improve wealth in California is to do several things. One, if we can put more income into our citizens, they will spend it. If we lower, so I'm suggesting lowering sales tax so that they have more money to spend. Part of our educational system should have some financial training in it. We learned in this pandemic that the disparity of what was going on was horrible. And yet part of it is the training they should have in financial matters, as well as training in nutritional matters too, because we found out during the COVID that some of the health issues were caused by bad diets. So if we could also work on that. But no, a wealth tax is not the right approach. The right approach is to put more money into people's hands, give them better paying jobs, bring and reduce some of the taxes, and reduce and increase incentives for businesses to do the right thing of hiring more local people.
Okay. I want to ask you about something you said. You had a unique idea here, the idea of a civil public defender. As a lawyer, I'm interested in this idea. I've never heard of this before. And I'm wondering, could you tell me how, that sounds expensive. Tell me how that would be funded.
No, I believe it would be self-funding. Because frankly, Santa Clara was the first county in the country that had a public defender for criminal lawsuits. And yet when I would go to the public, and I would talk to public defenders in both counties, how often do civil lawsuits turn into criminal lawsuits? Because people are just so frustrated at the costs. Well, this, and of course, ask lawyers, where's the money? The money's in a civil litigation. If in fact we can have a public defender, which is self-funded by some of the winnings. I mean, both parties are in this. If it's a $50,000 winning, and maybe we have a loser's pay at the higher levels, so that the idea behind it is that, decrease, I know you're a lawyer, I'm sorry to tell you this, maybe we decrease some of your income, but really, it's really sad when you hear the winners were the two lawyers. That's so bad. That's got to stop. And so I believe if we have a public defender's office, it'll be partially funded through the winnings, and also you'll find a lot of the students graduating from law schools are probably going to be the original public defenders, and then some of the big law firms will snatch up some good training grounds for them for 2 or 3 years that they work for the public defender's office. Maybe they're doing it lower cost to get discounts at Santa Clara U or some other, getting their law degree. So it could be a lot of different. You could tie it up like the military does. It says we're going to teach you to be a lawyer, know the tuition, but you're going to serve 2 or 3 years on the public defender's office. It could be a win-win deal for everybody.
Well, it's an interesting idea. We have this thing called the justice gap in the United States. That's a novel idea, maybe a way to solve that. I might worry a little bit about just the load on the court system because California has trouble funding its court system now.
Well, again, right. Well, and that's what it's about priorities, but I believe it can be done. And so, you know, and it does have a funding mechanism because it is cash flowing through the system, unlike the criminal lawsuits which don't have cash flowing through the system. So,
okay.
and life's not perfect, but we can make it work.
All right. Well, that's good creative thinking there. All right. Well, thank you, Bob. I want to thank you for being here with us today and for speaking
Bob
with
Brunton
us.
for Assembly. The website is voteBobBruntonForAssembly.com. Look us over, and I believe that you'll make the best choices. Me. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.